Apple officially announced Logic and Final Cut Pro for the iPad today. I can't believe this is actually happening. It's actually not available until May 23rd, so you do have to wait a little bit longer, but it's officially coming. And so in this video, we're gonna go over everything you need to know about Logic and Final Cut Pro coming to the iPad. So starting with Final Cut, that's what we're going to focus on the most. There are new touch tools and an entirely new interface available for some parts of the app. I mean, for the most part, it looks like what you are used to if you are a Final Cut user, but you'll notice that some things are in different places and some things have changed, which makes sense because it is coming to a different form factor. And so it's, catering to touch input, as well as the ability to use the Apple Pencil, which there are some cool features there. And of course, if you have a Magic Keyboard or a Smart Folio keyboard or any Bluetooth keyboard, you can connect it to your Mac and use the keyboard commands to make things a lot faster. So in terms of the Apple Pencil, there's Live Draw, which allows users to draw and write directly on top of video content using the Apple Pencil. On the iPad Pro with M2, Apple Pencil Hover unlocks the ability for users to quickly skim and preview footage without ever touching the screen. So I'm really glad that this isn't exactly a one-for-one copy of Final Cut from the Mac coming down to the iPad, and that Apple has adopted some new features for this platform, for iPadOS, and of course for the Apple Pencil. As I mentioned before, some of the UI does look a bit different. Here at the bottom left, you'll see some tabs to kind of go between different modes. There is the multicam mode, so if you want to sync and edit up to 4 angles, you can do that really quickly with just a tap. And also there is a new Pro Camera mode, which is interesting because basically you can record video directly into Final Cut and it brings up your camera UI, but it's kind of got extra settings and features that would make it a Pro Camera mode, like what other Android phones have had. Samsung specifically comes to mind. There's a Pro Camera feature where you can adjust white balance and your aperture and all of these things that people have wanted on the iPhone for years. And so my first initial thought is this something that's coming to iOS 17 that just kind of leaked out a little early with iPad? And Final Cut Pro specifically, I don't know for sure, but that's just kind of where my mind went. There are also a few machine learning tools and features that are available in the Final Cut Pro for iPad app. Hopefully this stuff comes to an update for the desktop app because some of this is pretty useful. You can now use a scene removal mask, which creators can quickly remove or replace the background behind a subject in a clip without using a green screen. There's auto crop, which adjusts footage for vertical, square, and other aspect ratios. And with voice isolation, background noise can easily be removed from audio captured in the field, which is always nice to have. Say you went out and your audio got a little messed up. Having these machine learning tools that's smart enough to be able to remove the background noise from your audio is always helpful, and of course, the easier the better. There's also a vast library of graphics, plugins, and effects that you can use in your edits. Hopefully, third-party manufacturers for plugins like Motion VFX can release its library of plugins soon so we can use those on the iPad as well. Also, Apple did release Logic Pro. Obviously, I don't use that app as much as Final Cut Pro, but I do want to give you some info on some of the new features, and it does appear that it looks to be the full-fledged Logic, just like Final Cut. A little bit of a different UI, but for the most part, everything seems familiar, and there's a lot of the features that you would know and love and need for your music projects. But there's also some new stuff, like a new sound browser that, according to Apple, uses dynamic filtering to help music creators discover whatever sound or inspiration they're looking for. The sound browser displays all available instrument patches, audio patches, plugin presets, samples, and loops in a single location, and users can tap to audition any sound before loading it into a project to save time and stay in their creative flow. Also in Logic Pro, there's a beat-making standalone UI, so you can make some beats easily. You have your plugins and effects readily available, and of course there is a mixer there, so when you're ready to mix your music, you can do that with a full-fledged UI for that. And honestly, I'm just really excited about both of these apps coming to the iPad. They'll be coming on May 23rd to the App Store, and I'm going to read this part verbatim from Apple so I don't mess anything up. But starting Tuesday, May 23rd, Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro for iPad will each be available on the App Store for $4.99 per month. Yes, it's a subscription. I'm very sad about this, but it could be worse in terms of price, so I guess look at it that way. It'll be $50 per year with a 1-month free trial. Final Cut Pro is compatible with M1 chip iPad models or later, and Logic Pro will be available on A12 Bionic chip iPad models or later. Also, Final Cut Pro for iPad and Logic Pro for iPad will require iPadOS 16.4. And so yeah, that wraps it up. I can't believe this is actually happening. Let me know in the comments down below if you're as shocked as I am, or happy, or not happy. Whatever the case may be, let me know in those comments down below. This has been Dan with MacRumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.